is like a studio warming of sorts. I changed things up a bit, made things look a little bit more dynamic, kind of changed the lighting, improved some of the audio. I've got some fun things going on behind me, you know, let's get into it. I've been asked on the socials lately if I think that the iPhone 11 that was released in 2019 is still a solid purchase if you can find it. And in the same breath, those same individuals have asked me what the camera quality is like on this device compared to this one, the iPhone 12, which was released a year later in 2020. On paper, these two devices have very similar cameras, but we should know by now that most of what happens with image processing happens with the operating system after the fact. And that sort of thing can make a huge difference, especially for the end result. Look no further than the camera on the Pixel lineup. When looking at the specifications for that camera, there's really nothing overly sophisticated or fancy about those shots, but the images that come out of Pixel devices are near legendary at this point. That's typically due to how the image is being processed, and the image that you see in your photo library after the fact is that final rendered image. Some cameras will balance your color and lighting. Others will make it pop. And then there's some that will actually darken the image. It's almost to a point where it looks muddy. I've seen a few like that that'll actually leave certain sections of the image a little overexposed, so you'll get really dark spots and then really light spots, and it's not a great image. It is absolutely a thin line to walk in 2021, as we know that cameras are heavily scrutinized this day and age. So I wanted to mash up Apple's previous generation base model device with their current base model device. So I've taken a number of shots for all of you to look at, and I'm going to be displaying both images side by side, and they're going to be labeled by which device I took that image on. A quick note is that the iPhone 11 is mine. I've had this since launch, and then I was able to borrow this iPhone 12 from a friend for this test alone. In an effort to make things as fair as possible, I backed up the content from both devices, entirely wiped them, and what you're going to be seeing was taken from the stock camera app on the iPhone without any type of settings or tweaks. Everything is going to be as raw as possible. The two devices were side by side for these comparison shots, and the images were taken the exact same second. Really fun trying to, double fist iPhones for this sort of thing. Now I'm going to say, keep some notes though, because after the comparison shots that I'm going to show you, I am going to throw a few images up on the screen without label, and I want to know if you're able to guess which device it came from. Let me know in the comments how many you got right. Now, disclaimer, everything that I mention in this video is just stuff that my eyes and my brain were able to process, but you might see something a little bit different, and that's okay. Anyway, let's go. Most of these shots were taken while on walks with my wife and our pup. Lots of greenery in the neighborhood, which I consider to be a good thing for these shots because there was a decent amount of contrast in most of them. For this shot, which was the first one that I took, I felt that the two were very similar, but the 12 seemed to offer warmer colors in some spots. An example would be the bits of brush sitting alongside the curb closest to me. It's a little bit more vibrant than that of the iPhone 11. The turtle crossing sign also seemed to pop a little more on the 12. The second shot I took, which was of a little creek, was interesting because there was little to no difference that I could find in the images. Color, lighting, really everything seemed to be the same all over. Sticking with the theme of warmer colors, and maybe it was just my eyes, but it felt to me that this third shot showed the red around the rooftop to be ever so slightly more vibrant on the 12 compared to the 11. Otherwise, very similar images again. So far, there doesn't seem to be much of a difference in image processing between the two devices, which could be expected. The fourth shot, though, it flips things on its head, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I feel that the grass along the right side of the image is a touch more vibrant on the 11 than it was on the 12. I couldn't really find any other differences, but that's something that jumped out to my eyes pretty quickly. This may make things challenging for you later on during that test. The next shot, of the sky, seemed to yield a bit more detail or definition from the 12 to the clouds. Most notable in the one kind of behind that tree in the middle. I don't know, what do you think? So we've looked at 5 images at this point, and it should give you a fairly decent idea on how things balance out from one device to the other. At this point, it kind of seems like the iPhone 12 might be doing a little bit more work in the background to either crisp or colorize some of these photos, but the 11 definitely isn't far behind, and if it is, it's not by much at all. Oh, but what about videos shot at the highest frame rate and the highest resolution? Oh, and the audio quality. Don't worry, I got you covered. So these are the front-facing cameras of the devices. I have the iPhone 11 in my left hand, the iPhone 12 in my right hand, and these front-facing cameras are shooting at 4K 60 frames per second, and I am going to be panning through audio from one side to the other so you can get a decent idea on audio. So in terms of the rear of the device, these are the two cameras that are shooting at 4K, 60 frames per second. And just like the front-facing cameras, I'm going to be panning through audio from side to side, just so you can get an idea of what the microphone sounds like. Okay, so we've got the comparison out of the way, both images and videos. You got your notes ready? We're gonna take that test now. 1, 2, 3, go. Here's an image taken on one of the devices. Which one is it? If you guess the iPhone 11, you're right. All right, let's move on to the next one. Take your guess. Imagine that. The iPhone 11 again. It's not doing so bad, huh? All right, what about this one? Haha, pulled a sneaky on you. This one is from the iPhone 12. All right, 2 more. Here's your 4th. Ooh, iPhone 12 again. Did you get that one right? All right, here comes your tiebreaker. Good luck. And the iPhone 12 closes up the test. So, how many did you get right? Let me know in the comments. As we've seen, the shooters from the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 12 really actually aren't all that different from one another. Again, on paper, these two are very, very similar. The processing on the back end, again, doesn't seem to be that different. So I guess if image quality is important to you, but you're also trying to save a little bit more money, I'd say go for the iPhone 11 if you're able to find it. Alternatively, iPhone 12, still not super expensive in the ecosystem of Apple products, and it might even drop in cost soon because you want to keep in mind that the unveiling and the launch of the iPhone 12s or 13, whatever Apple decides to name it, is right around the corner. Typically they do that in September of every year, COVID notwithstanding. So we're just going to have to see what those bring to the table. All right, so that does it for this one. Did you like the video? If so, hit the thumbs up. And if you loved it, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button so you can help me build this channel into something huge. You take care. We'll see you in the next one.